Hello, I'm Professor Robert Linz, a law librarian and instructor at the University of Colorado Law School in Boulder, Colorado. The next few minutes, I'm going to talk to you about how to read source notes in statutes. To do that, we're going to use examples from the Colorado Revised Statutes, the official LexisNexis version, also known as the Red Volumes. This is a set that is published annually. It's currently in the 1973 codification scheme, and a new edition comes out each September. So let's assume we wanted to read the source note for this code section from the CRS, 13-1-113, or Title 13, Article 1, Section 113. This is a code section about a seal and how the seal is attached to documents. The source note always follows the text, immediately follows the text of the statute. So in this slide, you see that source note boxed in red, and you see a bit of a cryptic abbreviation starting with L1887, continue right on through to where it says at the end, effective March 11th. So what the source note is the history of the statute. It's the statutory history. It is all those times in which the General Assembly created or modified the statute and where it appears in the various editions of the Colorado Revised Statutes. How do we read those abbreviations? Well, LexisNexis provides a table in the front of every red LexisNexis volume is this series of pages called source note information. And on the source note information page, you'll see that as I have them on the slide, there are the abbreviations and explanations of the symbols, starting with L. L being the symbol for the session law, and then that would be followed by a number, which would be the year, and also be followed by a page number or by a chapter number. Other symbols might be the paragraph symbol, P for page, and on the second page, VII, you'll see one for R and RE for repealed and reenacted, and some other abbreviations as well. So knowing that information, let's now go back to the source note and see if we can figure out what some of those abbreviations means. So the first one we see is L1887, page 198, section 362. So what that means is that this statutory code section originated in the 1887 session of the Colorado General Assembly. And if we found that volume in our law library and turned to page 198, we would see the original version of this code on how to seal how attached. What else do we find looking at the source note? Well, scanning the sections, we find the next time it was modified was in 1967. This is the 1967 session laws. If we turn to page 70, we'd find what that General Assembly did. In 1975, it was modified again, but this time we read entire section R and RE at page 49. What that means is that the entire code section that previously existed is repealed and reenacted into something that looks like this. It was again modified in 1980, but we see a slight variation again. This time, in front of 1, we see the paren 1 amended. And what that means is that section 1 of our code section was amended only, not section 2, and we can find that at page 506. We also see an effective date that took effect March 25th. And then 2011, we see again section was amended, but there is a slight variation. This time we see HB 11-1018. And this is something new for Colorado in the last few years of statutory publication. They started to include the bill number on which the legislation was based. So this is what this stands for is House Bill 11-1018 was the source for the legislation. All right, so we figured out about half of the abbreviations in the source note. What about the others? What about the Code 08, the Code 21, the CRS 53, etc.? And the CRS of 53 was the Colorado Revised Statutes of 1953. 63 it appeared in the same numbering, Title 37, Article 1, Chapter 14, etc. It's also interesting to note that there are no L's, there's no session laws from 1908 through 1963. So what this means is that the code section as it looked in 1908 remained unchanged right on through 1963. So if we looked at any of those prior codes, and we can do this in our law library, we have the prior codes, it would be identical language. It wasn't until 1967 that the General Assembly modified that code section as we previously discussed. So that's how we read these various codes. And there is a tool called the comparative table, also discussed in the source node information pages we were just looking at, that helps you translate between one version of the code and the newer version of the code, rather. So that's it. That's how we read source notes in the Colorado Revised Statutes. For more information on this topic, you can turn to a few sources. One is my own book entitled Colorado Legal Research. I address this issue in Chapter 4. And the second is a document produced by the Colorado General Assembly called Understanding Colorado Statutory Source Notes. It's available at this URL. Thank you. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, please let us know. Thank you.